Hello and welcome to another Best Junglers episode, the second one for Season 11 and just freshly updated for patch 10.25. And as such we have quite an interesting video with a lot of champions that have special notes that need to be mentioned. But the first note I wish to play is on the world's tiniest violin, as Kayn has been absolutely obliterated from this plane of existence. Yeah, his win rate, it's not good. Those nerfs were pretty heavy-handed, the Q cooldown really hitting hard. Not to mention the damage change as well. So I'm putting an asterisk here, watch Kayn's win rate, watch any hotfix buffs that come in the next week, because that could shift him entirely over the course of the next month where we won't have a lot of changes. And don't forget, if you play the best junglers, you also need the best browser. Download Opera GX in the description below. Customization features, Twitch and Discord synergy, a forced dark mode for websites designed in 2005, and you can limit how much of your PC it actually uses, so you can maximize your FPS, just so that's one less thing that you can blame for your elo. And now, as always, let's begin with the S tier page. You will see some familiar faces. That's because when you have Kayn that's very strong against tanks and, other assassins, and then you have tanks which are good against, Kha'Zix, Hecarim, and Graves, and both get nerfed at the same time, well, Kha'Zix's win rate is absolutely obscene. I have no idea why it's okay to gut Kayn and then leave Kha'Zix, Hecarim, and Graves atop the tier list for months and months on end. It is what it is, but the ultimate carry jungler to snowball, to one-shot, to control the game tempo, to literally make every other jungler afraid of even going to their own blue buff, Kha'Zix is the champion you play, and of course you can go Electrocute, you can go Conqueror, you can go Dark Harvest. Whatever you want, itemization, runes, the choice is yours, the evolution path, RQ is yours. Adaptability is keeping Kha'Zix on top. And yes, second up we have Hecarim. He was nerfed, you are correct, his win rate has gone down, 2 for 2. The problem is, he was disgustingly OP before, and now he's just really strong. At the end of the day, maybe your one-shot potential has gone down, but if you watch the video I released 2 days ago on how you actually should be jungling in Season 11, Hecarim is the prime example of how to do that. The farming, the rotations, the fact that you can win teamfights, fighter itemization, which again is being touched on the PBE, so keep an eye out on the changes that are upcoming. And even though we had auto attack shifts in the jungle itemization, it hasn't really impacted Hecarim's, Kha'Zix's, and Graves too much, although on the note of Graves, his win rate has dipped. The problem is he is really just a quintessential malleable jungler. You can itemize as you wish, lethality, or go into more ADC items with crit and shield bow, that has a decent win rate. And we can talk about runes and items, but it's his kit. His kit is just so dominant. The macro that's available with your E, with your counter jungling, with the skirmishing power, it's just so insanely difficult to match up with him. Yes, there are a lot of strong junglers you're going to see on this list that can do a very good job into Graves, which is why that win rate has dipped, but overall the map control and objective and lane pressure that all three junglers here have, especially over enemy junglers as well, means they are the top 3. However, then we have another 3 that sort of are just below them, but these top 6 are your best overall, and the Berserker is berserking. Olaf has been enjoying a nice resurgence with his win rate, gore drinking making sure that he actually can never die. And you know what? When there's a lot of CC and tanks around the map, press R. If there's a tower, doesn't matter. If there's an enemy champion that's in your way, doesn't matter. The clearing power, the skirmishing power, the fact that he can solo those objectives. But whenever someone tries to CC you, you press a button and you're no longer CC'd. That is absolutely huge whenever you have a lot of it going on in the meta. You know that, and full clearing and so on is pretty strong, so he can do that too. Nunu is the one thing that just doesn't, go away. You nerf Cinder Hulk, you nerf Bobby Cinder. Nunu just says, okay. Even though that raw damage is down, it hasn't changed the nature of what Nunu and Willem like to do. Lane pressure, mobility, spam gank ability, and total objective ping pong control. All the pre-nerf Cinder Hulk did was make Nunu and Willem OP. Now they're just really strong, as normal. But if you don't necessarily want to be a bit more supportive in your jungling style despite the high win rate, and you want to be more of a solo carry, I am the Domina, Echo is back, no cap. And that's because he has no cap on the damage he can do to monsters, which is obviously an obscene amount, and I thought the win rate would spike higher than it has done. But needless to say, when you take junglers that sort of struggle at clearing so they can't get out onto the map for 1v1s, they're too low to gank, they can't really clean up fast enough, you fix that, all of a sudden the champion turns online and now you can skirmish, now you can gank, now you can invade. You have way more agency on the map to actually get yourself fed, and as you all know, an Echo that's fed is absolutely hilarious. It's worth noting statistically that while Olaf is strong, Echo does perform very well into him because you're not as reliant on the CC and you have damage. The same goes for Kha'Zix. And next up, what's this? We have a surprise on the front page. Rammus has arrived. Well, actually, he's been here the whole time. Now he's just much stronger because Season 11, the tank items are still better in Season 11 than Season 10, And although his win rate in Diamond Plus has fallen off significantly since the Balmy Cinder Sunfire has, been on the nerfing slope, much like Nunu has the ability to deal with assassins, has lockdown CC, and can force ADCs to cry even more than they already do, even though I'm seeing an astronomical amount of double ADC comps. That and you can roll really fast, and that's always fun. Finally, we have Vi. Easy to use, point and click ultimate that locks down whoever you want to lock down. Q for ganks early along with a flash Q mechanic for those who are a little slow on their reflexes, tank buster passive, and an underrated E AoE slap spell. Her usage rate isn't that high, but her win rate is good. You can go whatever fighter itemization you like. You know that Triforce being core, but you can go things like Eclipse if you prefer a bit more damage. A well-rounded jungler that gives you nice dragon control early, really an excellent accessible champ, a champion that you can focus on mastering the jungle with, and very easy to main all the way up to diamond, and even then you can have success, although it does dwindle due to the nature of how the meta and the players work. Alright, that's the S tier page, onto the A tier page, and we have some AP selections for you. Starting off with Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks does best when people forget he exists. Why? Well, because his playstyle is so niche, it's so weird, and when you get to 30 minutes, you just want to be able to leap over a wall and kill everyone. He just performs better when he's unassuming because people don't expect the effigies, they don't expect the farming capabilities, they don't expect the ult over the wall, and even if they do, they don't respect it. The sucky suck might not be sucking as much in terms of play rate, but the win rate is still very good. It's a niche playstyle, but if you can make it work for you, you're looking at good LP gains. Next up, we have Elise. I always want to talk about Elise like there's some kind of reason she's here. She's just a total jungler. She has 6 abilities: Tower Dive, Stun, CCs, Assassination Potential. She can send kamikaze arachnids at your feet which explode and, wouldn't normally do a lot of damage, but in League, half your health bar is suddenly gone. When you add all that together with skill expression, itemization buffs that are coming in the next patches or so, and the fact that she's as good as her pilot, there's just nothing more to say other than Queen of the Jungle. Next up, we have Evelynn. Now, originally I had Evelynn above Elise just because of the solo carry camouflage aspect, but even though her win rate is a little bit down, the farming capabilities are there. The meta just is, it kind of depends on what's picked against you. If you're a high elo jungler who happens to be smurfing, well, you're gonna have no problems whatsoever. If you're trying to use Evelynn as your main champion to get through whatever hellhole you're in, it's gonna be more difficult. Your pathing needs to be on point, you need to know how to flank, and really the biggest thing, pick potential and game state elevation. The game needs to be in a state where you're not running into a 5v5 death ball, or you're not running into an Udyr. That's right, an Udyr. Look where he is now. His win rate could actually justify him being higher, but ultimately the limitations in his kit means there are significantly better junglers for the meaningful tiers of play. But his aggression and build paths have really flourished for him this year. Specifically, I mentioned in the last video the Lichbane Sunfire or Lichbane Chem Tank. These are absolutely hilarious to watch in VOD reviews. I don't like it against me, especially when I'm an Evelynn, but he has decent win rates against some of the stronger meta junglers. Not direct counters or something that you would say, haha, Udyr shuts you down, but he can definitely do very well against the Kha'Zix. He can hold his own against the Graves, and of course, if an Echo is bad in the early game, take over. That, and I'm pretty sure you could justify buying almost every mythic on him. And welcome to Talia. If you want a gameplay of exactly how strong she is based upon that small little change, head to the gameplay channel. I uploaded a full analysis just yesterday. All it took was removing the reduced damage on her Q and you can suddenly clear camps without having to have 10,000 worked grounds, which of course you couldn't, which is why it was a problem. Now you're healthier and can get onto the map sooner and actually do what Talia does. One shot and spam. You get caught in a WE combo, you're dead. She misses it and you can't exactly dash or kite away, she's gonna chase you down with a Q spam. And when she gets that Ludens going, oh man, the clearing is insane. You can of course flex your itemization, but that's the one that is doing the best at the moment. Normally a core high elo staple, the fact that she's doing so well at the moment from this very simple change means she's even performing well in just Platinum. Now I will say this, it is still a better Diamond Plus pick. However, if you wish to pick it up in these mid-tier MMRs, a lot of practice will be needed to hit your combos, to clear efficiently, but the reward is a lot of damage, scaling, movement speed passives for good rotations, and we can't forget the very nice long-range ultimate that lets you arrive to fights when your team start fighting without you for no reason whatsoever. You know how we mentioned full clearing is very good in Season 11, still like Season 10, but the fact that you can rinse your camps, get the crabs, still have a bit of lane impact, Skarner still does these things extremely well. The pick rate has once again gone down as people get bored with it. This is a problem inherent with the champion, it isn't really interesting to play. Provides a point-and-click ultimate much like the Vi, strong farming capabilities, it works in high elo very well also. I guess, there's not much more to say. Hello Ivan, did you enjoy your juicy buffs? Because I'm even putting him on the second page of the best junglers video. I cannot ignore the win rate, and the only reason I'm putting here is difficult is because you need to have much different pathing than other junglers. You need to understand camp sequencing very well. The charge up time in the early game means you have to have a plan. You can cheese obviously, which is very fun. You need to know how to control Daisy, use the bushes very well, but honestly the spam shield, the Q lockdown, these things are so easy to use to not only buff a teammate and make sure, they're dominating the game, the Janna of the jungle as it were, you also provide CC and disruption with Daisy and the Q root. And that's great. If you like the supporting jungling style, you've got Nunu, and now you've got the true version of that, Ivern. The last pick here was very difficult. I could have put Yi just because he's Yi. Maybe I could mention that very nice Poppy jungle that's going around, although with a low win rate. But ultimately, Rek'Sai is still the AD version of Elise as it were. Early game powerhouse, game state elevator supreme. That means you can end games quickly, or you should, otherwise you lose. And while she's still much better in Diamond Plus, I can recommend her for Plat, although you will have a much harder time playing other things above her on this list. And now onto the low elo page, you will see Mercy heading the list as always. Things don't change because there's no coordination in CC. If you want that, you need a Mumu, who still has a dominant win rate in the lower MMRs, which is absolutely hilarious because his win rate for Plat Plus, Diamond Plus has dropped drastically since the changes came through. But not in Silver, because in Silver he doesn't get punished for the early game. In Silver, people don't end games quickly enough, they end up in a death ball, and then he's still kinda useful. For the rest of the page, you see Nunu, Hecarim, Vi, Udyr, and at the bottom, Warwick. Yes, he has had a horrible time along with Rengar due to the Tiamat removal. They just added ratios to his passive, but they did remove it so that basic attacks no longer grant a tick of damage on the jungle items. That means in the higher elos and even in the mid-tier MMRs, things didn't really change. They kind of offset a little bit. But in the low elo, where you don't get punished for being slow at farming, where you don't get punished for being low HP in the jungle, his win rate is up, his itemization is still everywhere. You've got the all tanks, you've got the full AD, you've got the Gore Drinkers, the Death's Dance, the Ravenous Hydras. But overall, having a bit of AD in there, or if you prefer going a lot of AD, will really help with your damage profile. Finally, the high MMR page, as always, many things can fly. Things like Lilia, things like Skarna, Sejuani's, these will always have room in high elo. But for the junglers that love the carrying style, Kha'Zix, Graves, Hecarim, Olaf, definitely Rek'Sai and Taliyah, they are always going to have success. They love playing Echo as well, the play rate is there, the win rate is coming up also. And don't forget the Nunu enthusiasts of Challenger around the world who just enjoy snowballing. And as always, you have to give shoutouts to things like Rengar and Nidalee. The buffs that just came through will be impacted in this arena first before you see any trickle down to the lower MMRs. While they are not the best performing, they are definitely doing much better in this patch. The same goes for Karthus. And we can't forget that an Ivern always does well on high elo because there's always someone who thinks they're the win con and you just spam E onto them. But that should wrap up all the core changes. We will have a micro patch next week or the week after, I can't remember. Watch the patch notes for those micro changes that might bring Kayn back into the fold and shifts other junglers around. But we still have a good diversity of champions available. AP, AD, tank, fighter, assassin, mage, whatever you want, there's something to play. Hope you're able to find it from this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment if you enjoyed. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.